So we're bringing back the bacon series, and this time we're going big. We are going with the Yuca. So I have made bacon from rice paper, from seitan. I've made bacon from the daikon radish, which is one of my favorite bacons. I have made so many bacons. Pooh, I was known as the veggie bacon guy for a little while there. I let bacon rest after I made the seitan bacon. Now that bacon was made famous by Gaz Oakley, but I actually used a recipe from my buddy Nigel over at the Seitan Appreciation Society. Now that recipe specifically from the Seitan Appreciation Society was probably one of the best plant-based bacons I've tried. Now a lot of people don't like to use seitan because it is pretty much pure gluten. Not even pretty much, it's pure gluten. I wanted to bring back the bacon series and go back to its roots, and instead of doing some processed, put together bacon strips like the seitan bacon, we're gonna go back to turning veggies into bacon strips again. Now this particularly is a Yuca, but Lauren Toyota over at Hot for Food has a recipe for a cassava bacon. Now, from what I understand, there is some differences. I read about it. I am not the professional on what the differences is between a yuca and a cassava plant, but this particularly is a yuca. So when I started this video, I thought that there was a difference between cassava and yuca, and technically there is. This is known as the yuca root, but it is the same as cassava. Yuca itself, the real plant, the name is actually from a shrub. It's a completely different tree. In Spanish America and the United States, we happen to call this yuca, but it is the cassava plant, the cassava root. The starch that's in the cassava is extracted and used as tapioca starch. Fun. Let's see how well the yuca root does to make a veggie bacon. Personally, I think this one's gonna be awesome. I can see it being really good. So a lot of these bacon recipes are very similar. We have a lot of the same ingredients that you've seen in the past. I've tweaked it and tuned my bacon flavoring sauce multiple times. I'm gonna do a little bit of tuning on this one, just like I always do, trying to really perfect that bacon flavor. Now we're gonna start off with the yuca. Now I have 3 here. I'm only gonna slice up 2 of them. That's all I need for today. But all we're gonna do is take our peeler, just our quick peeler, speed peeler, and peel off this hard brown exterior. So now that we got these guys peeled, I'm just gonna take a plate with a paper towel, and then we're just gonna use the peeler to press down and try to get large strips. Now these strips, the first few won't be that great. We'll still probably end up using them. As you go down, the more strips you peel, the thicker and better they'll get. And you can see I'm only 4 in, and it's already starting to get a little bit better. And then we're just gonna keep layering with paper towels just to kind of let these guys release their moisture. And I can really start to see how these things are gonna make really great bacon strips. They have like a nice kind of fiber through them. They have a really nice texture. They're kind of wavy. This is really gonna take the flavor really well, I think. Okay, so we did about 1.5 of the yucas, and we have a ton of bacon strips. We're not making all these bacon strips, there's tons of bacon strips. So realistically, 1 yuca is gonna get you a really good amount. So we have all of our bacon here. It's all relaxing. It's sweating out a lot of liquid. Yuca's holding a ton of juice inside of it. Lots of juice, lots of starch. My hands are very starchy. So let's set these guys aside for just a moment and make the bacon flavoring sauce. Now this recipe hasn't really changed much. We're gonna be doing about a 1/3 cup of soy sauce. I have some shoyu. I'm gonna use about 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. Definitely need to do the oil. I see a lot of people in the comments saying that they've made it without the oil. It's gonna be pretty disappointing without. Now sesame oil is very flavorful. You might not wanna do sesame oil, but it is gonna add a certain amount of richness to this that you otherwise wouldn't have. I'm gonna do about 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, a light tablespoon of the liquid smoke. We want these guys smoky. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, some garlic powder, just a few sprinkles, maybe 1/2 teaspoon. Paprika. Now you can use sweet paprika or smoked paprika. If you use smoked paprika, use a little less liquid smoke. Now you can use MSG, you can use a Marmite if you have that. I'm gonna use 1.5 teaspoons of mushroom seasoning. Then all we have to do is just whisk these guys together to form your bacon sauce. Then I like to just give it a little taste and see if we got the magic right. Ooh, this one's a special one. Then all I'm gonna do is just add these guys in, make sure they're completely coated, mixed around. They all get their own little share. Now the starches on these should kind of come off and maybe even thicken up this sauce a bit. Hopefully allow it to kind of stick a little bit more. Okay, so these guys have sat in this bacon brine for about the last 20 minutes or so. What I did was after about 15 minutes, I went ahead and shook them up just a bit. Kind of like flip them over if you want to do that. You just got to get them agitated so that way they're all coated really nicely in the brine. I'm going to heat up my nonstick skillet. I'm just going to add a touch of olive oil. Don't need a whole lot, just a touch of olive oil. I'm gonna get this on kind of like a low, medium, low heat. I don't want these too hot, otherwise the sugars and the syrup and the soy sauce is going to burn. You're gonna make it burnt. A lot of people comment on my past videos about the burn, so we want this to be pretty low heat. Seems like that's coated pretty nicely. I mean, look at this. It looks wonderful. I have to say that this looks really nice. And then we're just gonna drop it right in the hot skillet, letting this guy kind of just chill for just a few moments before we flip it over. And all I'm doing is just placing them on a paper towel lined cooling rack to allow them to kind of dry up and crisp up, just like you would bacon. Oh, they just look so perfect. I mean, there it is. That is the Yuca bacon. It looks awesome. I would say almost as good as the daikon bacon. Very similar type of texture. It has a nice tear. There's also a nice crisp to where you can snap it. So you have the snappy, the tear, the chew, just like you would with bacon with like the fat part and the crispy part. The crisp of a chip. Ooh, it is good. The Yuca has a mild enough flavor to where it allows all of those bacon flavors from the bacon sauce to kind of take over. And the soft spot has a nice enough chew to be believable as bacon. That's delicious. That is delicious. And I was right that the starch was going to kind of thicken up the sauce a little bit as it got towards the end. But here's like a nice bendy piece. That's perfect. That's just as good as the daikon bacon, honestly. I love that. That is a winner in the bacon series. This is leading the pack. This is just up there with the daikon, which is my favorite. But if you were to like crisp that onto a salad or something, or even put this on a sandwich, you would have a really good, I guess you could say YLT, the Yuca lettuce and tomato. Dang. The bacon series is back, baby. What do you guys think I should make next for the bacon? If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments down below.